Call the Lamar City Council regular meeting to order Tuesday, August 16, 2016 at 12 p.m. Would you please join me in the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a
Get
roll
that
call.
on delay? Are we on delay now?
Yeah. Like it.
So I can't say something stupid and good? I mean, there's like a 5-second delay or something.
I'm just betting it's not you that
I'm going, look at this, I raised my hand, it comes up later.
Keep you out of trouble.
Thank you.
I'll give you a little time to clean it up. Okay, can we have roll call, Bev?
Nelson?
Yes.
Knapp?
Yes.
Rexlinko?
Yes.
Goodchild?
Yes.
Wick?
Yes.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion been made and second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'd like to especially welcome everyone in the chamber today to our council meeting, and the representative from the Mars Daily Sentinel, and particularly you people that are watching at home over the television. Today we have a hearing, excuse me, an offer to purchase real estate and an offer to sell real estate. The council set this as a date and time to consider the offer received from Total Motors, Lamars, Iowa, for the purchase of 847 Hawkeye Avenue Southwest, which was a former CSS property, purchased for the new police department building on Business 75 for $500,000, and other provisions which consists of the city would purchase a real estate at 205 Fifth Avenue Northwest for $1 million, and the city would in turn lease the newly acquired real estate to the Total Motors in the short term at the cost or at the revenue of $9,500 per month. So at this time, I'm going to open the hearing and ask if there are any written or oral objections or comments to this proposal. So at this time, the hearing is open. I will ask once again, is there any written or oral objections or comments to the proposal that we have on right now? Hearing none, I'm going to close the hearing at this time, and the council has three options. They can sell on an offer received or buy, can reject the offer, or they can extend the hearing and continue to negotiate the offer. The financial impact of this would see the future of the TIF revenues from the property. Any other questions from you council members? I know that we had visited about this in closed session. I know that yesterday we sent you out the total program in writing, and today you have hard copies in front of you. So any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to adopting resolution 16-31, authorizing the sale of the property at 947 Hawkeye Avenue Southwest, the former CSS building, the former 2B Police Headquarters, to Total Motors for the total sum of $500,000. Item 2 is the real estate at 205 Fifth Avenue Northwest, the current Motor Inn facility, be purchased by the city for a cost of $1 million. When that purchase is completed, the city would lease the newly acquired real estate to Total Motors for a short-term lease of 3 years to not to exceed 5 years at a term of $9,500 per month.
Is there a second?
I would second with one correction.
Oh, excuse me, that's 847.
847.
I'm sorry.
A correction on that,
Yeah.
847.
847.
Then I would second the motion.
Okay, motion made and second to purchase the
205.
purchase the property at 847.
No, you sell 847 by 205. And then
Excuse
we
me, I'm
lease-
sorry.
And then we lease it.
Council said, yes, to sell the property to Total Sales Lamar's for the purchase of 847 Hawkeye Avenue Southwest, formerly the CSS property, purchased for the new police department on Business 75 for $500,000, and the purchase, the city would purchase for the real estate at 205 Fifth Avenue Northwest for $1 million on a 3 to 5 year contract. And number 3 is the city would lease the newly acquired real estate to Total Motors in the short term for $9,500 per month. All those in favor say aye.
It's a roll call.
Oh, roll call, I'm sorry, Bill.
Wick,
Yes.
Goodchild.
Yes.
Recklinko.
Yes.
Knapp.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
For the public, when, as Total Motors is moving out of that 205 property, we will be renovating that for our police headquarters.
Yes.
So that's where the police are gonna be. So just so everybody knows what's happening.
Okay. Moving on to general discussion. At this time, if anyone has any comments, concerns, or compliments about the city, we ask them to stand up to the podium and share their name and address. And the council cannot make any recommendations or vote on anything, but they're always welcome and willing to listen. So at this time, Dave.
I'm gonna stay back here, I got a bad leg, but if you got any calls on Floyd Valley Apartments, their elevator's been down for a couple weeks, they've called about everybody, including senators and the governor's office and things like that. They're working on it today, the elevator company is for those folks, so in case you get any phone calls, they're doing what they can do. It's an old Otis elevator, so they're trying to put Cadillac parts in a Model T. And the elevator company is there. I was just there a little while ago. They are working on it as we speak. But that place has not had an elevator for probably 3 weeks now, the 5-story building. So it makes it tough for people to climb stairs. But they do have 3 stairways, and that's how it works. But in case you got any calls, I know a couple of council people had, and Representative Holtz talked to me and some of those people. But they're doing the best they can. It might come down to where they end up putting a whole new elevator in. And we've been in contact with Oak Leaf, who owns the building, on that, so they're working on it, just to give everybody a heads up. Okay?
Thank you for the information, Dave. Appreciate it. Is there any other general discussion that we want to address? Tom?
Tom Kurth at 989 14th Avenue Southeast. Last, I think, week's agenda, you had on there an alley, and you mentioned Taco John's. Well, I was involved with that project. I brought it to the city council. The alley was, according to one councilman, quite political because of a yard that was getting flooded on the opposite side, the east side of the alley. And no one on the east side of the alley wanted to put any money into surfacing it. So it fell upon myself and Taco John's to put that alley in. As it went, the councilman at the time, Hank Livermore and Bill Jaycox, they were emphatic about the fact we do not put money in alleys. Therefore, you're going to pay for it yourself, because nobody on the east side would want to volunteer any money. I contacted everybody. Fine, we did. But the council did say one thing: we need to have it engineered, and we will donate the engineering. And that's exactly what they did. They had it engineered. The city took samples when they poured the concrete to make sure it was up to strength, make sure it was the right depth, had the right slump. I hired Ray Morehauser to put that alley in, and I paid Ray Morehauser. So the city's involvement financially was the engineering. my involvement and Taco John's involvement was to pay for the entire alley. And I see last week on the council meeting, basically, you're going 50-50 with an alley. Well, I didn't see anybody talk about engineering to get that up to spec, so if the city's going to pay for that part of it, it's now 60-40. I don't know how you're handling the engineering, if you're handling the engineering. But the city was going to make sure that that alley was in right, it was not going to break up, and they were not going to have to go in there and do a lot of work, and they haven't. You know, they didn't want to take over an alley that they had to come back and constantly patch and things like this. That's why they went for the engineering. The city, I talked to Kurt Holtzman, Performance or Pro Alignment down on the south end of that alley, and they paved their alley. Everybody along the alley paid for it. City council, the city's not involved, any money out of their pocket. And same, Norm Nielsen told me the same thing, no money out of the city's pocket, I paid for that little strip I put in there. So with this new change that you have, you look at Bolin down there, building that duplex, he's gonna be up there wanting that paved. You know, you're just gonna constantly have people wanting 50-50 now. So, I don't know, if you're lucrative enough to pay for all these, because that was a quick little decision, and now you have to adjust to that. So I don't know what your plans are with these alleys. But anyway, I thought I'd point that out because I did pay for the alley and so did Ray Rock,
Okay,
okay? So if you're gonna use me as an example, let me know and I'll
okay.
comment on it.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate it. Okay, is there any other citizens that have any other topics that they'd like to visit about? If not, we'll move on to thumbs up award. John?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Clark?
I want to talk about Tom just about a minute. I know last week we did vote on a 50-50 split on that alley 2 weeks ago. I was under the impression the city did 50-50 on the projects that were cited at the time. If the city truly did not participate 50-50 on those projects, I don't think I would have voted the way I voted. So I would like to propose we revisit that. Because I do believe, like I said 2 weeks ago, we're gonna set a precedent that I don't think we can afford to set. And I was going on the information that was given at the time. And that's kind of upsetting to me. So I concur with Tom. But I think it needs to come back. I think we need to put a halt to it, and we need to revisit it. Because I don't want to be paving alleys, not when Central Avenue needs it, and I said that 2 weeks ago. Not when there's other things that need it worse than somebody's alley. So if in fact the city did not pay 50-50 for the ones that were quoted last week, Taco John's being one of them, I think we need to reassess that and revisit it. So I just wanted to address that while Tom was in the
Okay.
room.
Any other questions? What do you want to do?
No,
Can't make a
no,
decision.
no, I understand you
No,
can't make a
can't do it
decision, but
today.
I want to know on those alleys, another one would be Mike Clary's, before Doug Carlson owned it, behind the Dairy Queen. I haven't talked to Mike, I haven't talked to Norm. Tom did call me.
What's the procedure, Joe? I mean, what,
We could put it on the next council agenda. Can't, like I said, you can't do anything about it.
no, I understand that, and I shared this immediately.
But, you know, that's just like anything else that we, if we put it on the agenda or we don't, or that'll be up to
You council members want it on the agenda next week, or what's your
2
feelings?
weeks.
Or 2 weeks?
I guess my only comment is having been on the council nearly 20 years, we make exceptions almost every meeting, depending on need and desire for the project and people involved in the project. That was not a resolution where we set a solid policy that that's going to be done, because some of it's done by TIF, and some of there's always other circumstances involved in making those decisions. And I voted for it, and I would vote for it again, because I think that the neighbors have shown an interest enough to put money into it. And if somebody would get my alley moving there, I'd be looking for the neighbors to kick in too, and if they didn't, it wouldn't happen. So because it's not a resolution, it's not a policy. All those things are handled individually.
I do have a concern with setting precedent. I was not at the last council meeting, that's not an excuse, but I have concern about setting precedents, and I think anytime you do something that, to me, is different than we've done it in the past or whatever, I believe we have to have a really good track record on the reason we made the decision we did. So if the next guy comes and says, I want to have it paved, we better have good reasons for not doing it. If we don't, or we're doing the same thing.
Mike Anthony was there with papers from 30 years ago that said his alley was supposed to be paved 30 years ago. And the council couldn't come up with any minutes that showed it was either approved or denied. But it was in his records or in his file. And it wasn't even going to be cost shared. So we still got to do what's right to the world. If he was supposed to get that, he didn't fight that for 30 years. That doesn't mean that we're able to say it didn't matter. It still mattered. So yeah, we could revisit it if everybody wants to, but the fact that we're still going to come back with, they think the whole thing should have been paid for nothing because of a council action 30 years ago that never happened. So there's a lot more than just a simple argument on who's paying and what they're paying.
And Rex, if those commitments were made back then, that's part of the track record you established
Right.
to.
But these
to
guys,
say, this
these
is a
guys looked
precedent.
they looked in the archives, they looked in the minutes, they couldn't find the thing in the minutes, is what I understood.
I think the reason that alley never got paved, the council said, yes, we'll pave it, but when we're done, we'll assess it. And that's when Lauren stopped.
Okay.
And Lauren probably never told Mike that, if he told Mike they were gonna pave the alley. Because I can't imagine, because I was on that council in the early 70s. Hank Livermore and those people were very adamant about the alleys and the money they were spending on it. That came shortly after I got off the council. So I can't imagine that they didn't follow up with Mr. Rickabaugh and say, you know, we'll do it, but you got to pay for it. We're going to assess it. And now Mr. Rickabaugh could shorten that sentence and entice Mike to buy.
Right.
You know,
It's not-
that's another thing.
All we're saying is it's not as easy as it just seems. None of
Well-
these things are.
Right, and that's
And-
why you don't want to get started on spending a lot of money with one guy and then try to tell the other guy he can't have it.
I want to share something that we're faced with probably once a month. And that is what happened 20 years ago. What we're looking at is when an issue comes up, I don't care if it's economic development or what it is, we take each case on its merit at that time, or that not 20 years ago, but it's what we're faced with. And that's why sometimes changes, ordinances, and things like this get made or get changed. Planning and zoning, you've been on that, Tom, you know that.
Yeah, I know it.
And it changed it. You gotta change it from 20 years ago versus today, what the needs are. And you say, we talk about setting a precedence. I'm all for keeping as precedence as we can. But there's times when you can't, if you wanna move this town ahead.
Well, the question I have is, putting money in an alley, unless day-to-day, there's a lot of traffic, like Taco John's. You know, they had a drive-up window, and I owned that car wash. So we had a lot of traffic in that alley, created a lot of problems, mud, we had a lot of potholes, and we bought rock and put it in there. City wouldn't get down there to do it then.
Yeah.
They wouldn't put any money in, so we would go buy, get some rock, fill in the holes.
Yeah.
But after a while, that got forced out. We had to go and do something different. And by the way, I think at that same time, Hank Livermore was building Tony Burlett's car wash, and Hank Livermore paved that alley for Tony. And that's probably why, if Tony was paying, I was going to pay.
Okay,
Well,
anyway.
I go back to the one thing, because I want it brought back. Because I
Okay.
do disagree with Ken on one thing, and that is this. I base a decision on the information I'm given at the time.
Okay.
And at the time, I was told that the city split 50-50 with X, Y, and Z. Only to find out that X, Y, and Z are saying they didn't split it with them. And so I agree with you, Dick. You have to evolve, and you have to make
You've gotta be-
concessions, and you have to, change some rules here and there to make things happen, because times change. But paving an alley and setting a new precedent, which we would be doing,
Well, in this particular case, but I just point the overall about setting the precedents. That was my point.
I mean,
Because it's more than an alley in setting
I
precedents.
fully agree with a 50-50, cooperation with projects that need, but anyway, that's where I'm at. I'd
Okay.
like to see it brought back.
Let's move on here. Do you want to, Charles, do you want to bring it back next week and put it on the council, or you want to let it go? What do you want to do?
We can't even make a decision on that, I don't think.
I'll do some research.
It's not on the agenda, so.
We'll do some research, okay? Is that fair enough?
Why don't, if that's gonna be a stick in the mud, then let's, staff will do a complete research, Clark. Because if it was misquoted in Tom's Alley, I don't know why we're bringing something up that's, as old as that. I agree with the mayor. Are we gonna really, deal with it from the 70s? Or the 80s. Hank Livermore was councilman in the early 80s when I first moved back, so that was 1982. So instead of 20 years, that's 34 years ago. So I think we can move on from that time frame. And I disagree with Tom that somehow this city can't afford alley pavement, because how did they afford it in the past? So if we made an error in the one alley he's quoting, we'll do a complete search so that you guys will know how you handled all the alleys, not just Tom's. I don't know why Tom was concerned that he had to pay some 34 years ago. And, well, you must be, otherwise why are you bringing this up?
I brought it up because I wanted to clarify something that really wasn't happening. That's all.
Did you-
I have no problem. I sold that property. I'm out of it.
I think you guys do the research.
Yeah.
You put it on the discussion item with the research information at the next meeting, then we
At the
decide
next
if we
meeting, we'll go
forward.
from there.
And I
Fair
will
enough?
tell you right now, I talked to Kirk Holtzman yesterday, because he was doing some work for me, and he said, I honestly don't know. He said, I honestly can't remember. So Kirk told me right out, and I haven't called anybody else.
Be very careful, because on the surface, it seems like Tom is saying that I misquoted. But back in those days,
Scott, nobody's saying that. Nobody's.
well, you certainly are. Who
right.
stated it at the last meeting?
Let's move on here,
So
what
I
we're going to
just
do.
want to clear
Yeah.
the record, Mayor.
Yeah.
That Charlie Eifers was the Public Works Director from 1978 to the time he retired, and many of those things were done in kind, where city did the grading, city did the removals, city did a whole lot of things, including engineering, and so it is 50-50.
Okay, good. We know what we're going to do, so we'll go from there. Agreeable?
Yeah, absolutely.
One
You
thing,
got a thumbs up?
look at,
No,
It's done, Tom.
well, just look at American Bank. I think that's where it all started.
Okay.
no.
We're not going to take any more time. any more time today to talk about this. Clark, do you have anything else? How about you, Steve? A thumbs up award?
I had a wonderful reception of the golf course on Saturday night, and the people from out of town that spent the time on the balcony overlooking our beautiful golf course, and the compliments they had again was absolutely wonderful. The sign up the golf course looks wonderful too.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I was hoping somebody'd notice that. We only worked on that for 2 years.
I go out there every once in a while.
Rex?
I'll pass, thank you.
I got a thumbs up award, and it's for the city. For 5 years, my brother Joe over here has been on me setting up these committees on a gender basis, so many women versus men, And we got a news release, the city of Lamar's got a news release this week. Maybe you've seen it in the paper, it was Dennis said it over the Clem, that Lamar's, out of the surveys that they took, and I think there's 900 and some cities in the state of Iowa, and there's 200 and some that they surveyed, and Lamar's was 31st. That's pretty good odds of doing a good job, of keeping our committees in gender balance. So congratulations, women and men both. All right, moving on. Consent items. All items listed under consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no second discussion of those items unless a request is made prior to the time of the council votes on the motion. Remember, we got 4 of them. Approval of the 8/2/16 regular and 8/5 special meeting minutes. Number 2 is a list of the bills for period ending 8/12/16. Number 3 is the monthly financial statement for July 2016. Number 4 is renewal of the liquor license, beer, wine, permit, and outdoor service area at Corkett. Does anybody from the council want to pull any of these, or can I entertain a motion?
Motion to approve the items 1 through 4.
Is there a second? Motion been made and second to approve items 1 through 4. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to the action items, and I'd like to make a change on this because I see there's people sitting in the audience. The first one was Crescent Ridge. I'd like to change that to number 2 and bring the Library Board of Trustees request to number 1 to save time. So the Library Board of Trustees, bear with me. The Lamar's Public Library Board of Trustees was asked by city administration to evaluate their current location and create a prioritized list of needs and projects to update the building. This list has been completed. Many exterior improvements have been already completed, and I think when you spoke about exterior completeness, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but the city has done what they call payment in kind, have covered a lot of these projects on the outside. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. On June 13th, the Board of Trustees approved the idea of hiring one consultant to provide direction on the interior improvements. The Library Building Committee recommends contracting with FHE Design to provide architectural services for a renovation to the existing building for a negotiated fee of $18,500. And that's all-inclusive, parentheses, all-inclusive, no contingency, no printings, and shipping costs. The committee recommends that $8,000 be used from their trust and agency funds, which will be matched with another $8,000 from our friend Cheryl Wells here in Lamar's. And the committee requests the final $8,000 from the city council for a total of $24,000. And the reason is this budget will allow some flexibility. So, Shirley, share with us what your thoughts are.
Well, on June 21st, I came before the council to discuss the plans to hire a consultant for the renovation study. And with the assistance of Scott Langle, the Library Building Committee and I prepared an RFP which was posted July 18th and it closed August 1st. 2 firms submitted proposals, Cannon Mossberger, CMBA, and FEH, both out of Sioux City. On August 2nd, the RFPs were reviewed by the Building Committee of Alan Gates and Aaron Orland. We were joined by Library Board President Kathleen Kipp, City Administrative Staff Scott Langle, Jason Becerra, and Community Member Cheryl Wells and myself. Based on the stated criteria in the RFP, we used experience, qualifications, project approach and depth, cost, and the firm of FEH was then recommended for this project. On August 8th, the Library Board accepted that recommendation of hiring FEH for the library renovation study, and also at that meeting, the Library Board reaffirmed the commitment to provide $8,000 from trust and agency for that project. The board gratefully acknowledged the generous offer of $8,000 in matching funds from Cheryl Wiles. Today, I'm asking the City Council to provide an additional $8,000, and the funding will be used for this project. FEH will be hired to produce a renovation study of the current building. The completion and delivery date is expected on or before November 14th, as stipulated in the RFP. This proposal is to have services that will help us meet and exceed American with Disabilities Act requirements, update the current structure to make the existing space more attractive and responsive to the needs of community. And today, I would ask that the council join us in making our building more attractive, join us in making our library more accessible, and help us move the library forward. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for?
What was the study that was done some 10 years ago or whatever?
Yeah, that was in 2010. That was called the Space Needs Assessment.
Okay.
Is that what this is long to, the space needs assessment? Is that what this
No.
study is going to?
No.
What's this going to consist of?
We're going to ask them to take a look at it, and in fact, they probably already have, because it was one of the documents we put up on the website where we put the RFP. But we're asking them is to come in and take a look at our physical building as it sits at this point. We're asking them to look at our accessibility issues that we have. We're asking for a detailed space plan for the most effective utilization and how to modernize it. So the layout probably is up for change. We want to make sure our aisle widths are within ADA compliance, and some of those aren't. Also, the reach for some of our shelving is out of compliance. They're also going to recommend reorganization and renovation approaches, identify future needs, service levels, priorities, goals, and objectives for us, look at some conceptual designs for renovating the library, provide some detailed cost estimates if we go forward with certain aspects. So say, okay, let's go ahead and redo this section. What would we look at for a price to redo that section? Provide some pre-bid and estimates of what a renovation might cost for that. So that's what we're asking from them.
Motion approving the library board's request for $8,000 to match the $16,000 privately raised for hiring FEH Design to prioritize the interior improvements at our current library.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, approving the library board's request for $8,000 to match the $16,000 privately raised for hiring FEH Design to prioritize the interior improvements of the library. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Shelley.
much.
And all your members
Thank you.
with the library board that was here. Okay, moving on to the next one is the Crescent Ridge City Utilities. About halfway organized here today.
You're okay. You're doing fine.
Utility plans are prepared by the city engineer, working with Schofield Engineering Incorporated for Crescent Ridge City Utilities, which involves sanitary sewer, water mains, and storm sewers. Schofield will present an overview of the project. And actually, he's going to share with us the overview. City engineer does recommend approval by the council, and if it's approved, we're looking at a public hearing on September 6th, 2016, a bid letting on September 20th, 2016 at 10 a.m., and a consideration of award on September 20th, 2016 at 12 p.m. So Pat, excuse me, Scott,
Well, I was just gonna say, Pat Bickett is here to
Yeah.
go through the plans.
with Schofield. So Pat, you want to share this program with us?
Okay, here's to hand out a set of plans, told you up from the council, it's the same stuff that I have up here. Very similar to what we brought previously, the preliminary plans, a little more finalized. This project is for the underground infrastructure, like the mayor stated, the sanitary sewer, the storm sewer, and water main. The sanitary sewer begins at a lift station down by the pond. The pond sits here in lot 1 of the subdivision. Sanitary sewer flows back to the west from the east, so this is the low point of the project. The lift station is a small triplex lift station with some low flow pumps in it, the force main, the 2-inch diameter force main. It follows back up the hill in the same alignment, in the same trench as the gravity sewer. Depth of that sewer, we were shooting for getting 10-foot depth on the sewer service lines at the setback line or the property line. So accommodate full basement sewer for the houses. Water main, 8-inch water main, ends right on the lot line between lots 1 and 2 of the subdivision. Dropping 1-inch service lines for the water main for all the lots, plus the acreage that's kind of in between there. Service lines for all of the platted lots, plus the acreage itself. As we continue on back to the east, there's some existing trees just to the lot east of the acreage. We'll be boring both the sanitary sewer and the water main underneath those trees. The majority of the trees are kind of in between where the water main and the sanitary sewer are. I think at the preliminary plan, we were just showing the boring of the water main underneath the trees, but once we had this surveyed and physical tree locations were shown, it looked like it was really an issue with the water main, with the sanitary sewer as well. Back on the storm sewer, also ends on this first page end of the pond. That's the outlet of the storm sewer is into the pond. We have a storm sewer on the south side of the road with traditional curb intakes all the way up. Typical street section with curbing gutter and storm sewer on the south side, rural slab, no curb on the north side. Paving is not in this contract. This is just for the underground. As far as the west will build the bottom portion of it, put a cover on it until it's paved. Continues on, and the force main outlets we show is the nearest gravity sewer that we can get into is on the north side of Wells Corporate. There's a manhole, and we'll be bringing that 2-inch force main to, that'll be the receiving manhole for the force main. Estimated cost for this project is $380,000 for this underground portion of it. The rest of the plans are just the project details. So, any questions, comments?
Sanitary water and sewer, storm sewer are estimated at 380. And we have how many lots up there?
There is 7 platted lots, I believe, and then there's the acres that's kind of in between. 8 total.
So no pavement, 380,000 for potentially a property.
8 properties at this time, yes.
It'll also cover anything development on the north side if it happens in the future, or something that could happen to the west.
Is there any way we can?
or to the south.
Is there any way we can put some of that cost on those potential south, north, west? I don't know with the river down there, I don't know how much west we would, I mean, I don't know.
Well, we've got, the 8 property owners have all agreed verbally, and before it, you have to make an award, we'll have that in writing from those property owners. They've all agreed orally with me that they would accept their voluntary assessment. You guys saw that earlier this year, I
Yep.
believe. If you remember the preliminary assessment schedule and plat that I brought forward. And so all the then current property owners were aware of it, and they were all in agreement. And it was fourfold, because the LBIC owned 6 undeveloped lots. So LBIC and their board said yes. Floyd Fiddler said yes. Dave Langle said yes. And Wells Dairy said yes.
Who's on the north?
Well, the north, you don't have authority in the code to special assess that because the corp line is the center of the road.
Okay.
It's ag.
And then, even if that was in the city limits and you had the authority, if it's ag, they are eligible for ag deferral.
Well, I wasn't even thinking about making them pay for it now, that's not my point. My point is if they develop it in the future, is there a way that they can share some of these costs for getting it up to them?
You could insist on that at the future time when that development does occur and if it gets annexed to the city. So there's a lot of ifs there.
That answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
Any other?
there's no pumps in this?
What's that?
This is all gonna be gravity?
There is a lift station, there will be
Yeah,
one.
on the west end.
Just at the one west end,
Yeah.
not
Not
intermittent?
individual houses, pumps in the house, no, there's one central lift station, gravity sewer from all the houses back down to that lift station.
And 10 feet down is the shortest depth that somebody's gonna have from the line, okay.
The wet well is 20,
The wet well on this one is about 13 feet.
13.
Bottom.
And explain to the council what you mean by triplex.
There's 3 pumps in the lift station. 2 pumps that are the main use pumps, they switch back and forth, which one is active on a cycle. And then the 3rd pump is an emergency backup pump. In case one of the others fail, then there's the 3rd pump that kicks on to, and it throws an alarm that one went on and it gives you an indication that one of those pumps needs to be looked at.
Okay, perfect answer.
Motion to establish September.
Oh, excuse me, just one quick question along this line, and I don't think it has anything to do with this, Scott. Have they decided, are you gonna pave or blacktop the road?
That'll come yet, but it
That's
won't
down the
come,
road.
it won't come until 2017, I'm pretty confident at this point.
Okay,
Because the paving shouldn't go in until all these utilities are fully in
yeah.
and functional.
Okay, that answers my question. Excuse me, John.
Will the pump station down at the bottom handle future growth?
As it size now, there's some, but not a whole lot. These are smaller pumps, with a smaller force main. So there's not a whole lot of room for growth on that. Talking to the wastewater guys, they've got several of these lift stations with these pumps, particular pumps in it. And the reason they wanted to go with this is so that they could keep all their pumps and parts and everything the same. The actual pumps are interchangeable between this lift station and the current ones that you have. And that's why they were looking at going with this style pumps. These are a little bit different pumps than the standard lift station in that they're not centrifugal pumps. They're referred to as a semi-positive displacement pump, which means they can pump to a higher pressure, but they're a lower flow rate pump, which in this situation, for the lots that we have on, The DNR has a standard for minimum velocity within the force main of 2 feet per second, which this 2-inch main with these pumps just barely meets that. So, you know, if we're looking at sizing for future, the force mains would be oversized for what we currently have. So we end up with some.
Do you have a rough cost breakdown on water, sewer, and sanitary? I mean, just off the top of your head, I'm curious. I didn't mean, can I go a third? Probably not, I'm guessing sanitary sewer is gonna cost most, right, with pumps?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
We can get
I
that.
can get that if.
I was just curious, I mean, I seriously was just curious. Okay.
We'll
Okay?
get that out to you before you have to consider the
Yeah.
the
We
bid.
can get it free.
Okay.
Okay, John?
Motion to establish September 6, 2016 at 12 PM for a public hearing on plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost of Crescent Ridge City Utilities, and establishing September 20, 2016 at 10 a.m. to receive and open bids, with said bids to be considered at the September 20, 2016 City Council meeting.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Motion made and second, establish September 6th, 2016 at 12 p.m. for a public hearing on plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for Crescent Ridge City Utilities, and establishing September 20th, 2016 at 10 a.m. to receive and open bids, with said bids to be considered at the September 20th, 2016 meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the next item is E3, the LBIC loan agreement. In 2006, the LBIC received a $600,000 economic development loan from Northwest Rural Electric Cooperative. The attached spreadsheet shows payments made from LBIC to Northwest REC from 2006 to 2016. Today, the balance is $306,675.98. Northwest REC revolving loan program rules not allow further extension on this zero-interest loan. Therefore, LBIC is requesting city to pay off said loan with Urban Renewal TIF and structure a loan agreement for the balance with them. As further consideration, Northwest REC has offered a $300,000 loan directly with city, 0% interest for 6 years. Zero payment in year 1 and year 2, and $75,000 yearly payments in years 3, 4, 5, and 6. No stipulation for use of the funds is required. Administration has accepted the said terms, subject to the council approval. The financial impact would be the Urban Renewal TIF funds needed for $306,675.98. 0% interest loan to the city for 6 years. Questions, comments, or anything like that? Oh, excuse me, Neil?
No, I was just going to make a couple comments, if that's
Yeah,
okay, and then
I didn't
certainly would
see you.
answer any questions
I
if you
apologize, I
have
didn't see
any.
you standing there.
The original $600,000 loan was part of the financing that we used to purchase the land, which is now known as Lamar's Industrial Park, second and third edition. There remain 28.46 acres left on that property. You have in your packet an overview of the sales and subsequent payments that were made. I just would point out that those properties and improvements that have been made on those are generating just over $248,000 in property taxes annually currently.
Annually?
Annually,
How
yes.
much was that?
$248,558.
I would comment that they have been a lot of help to us in economic development out there, making loans available at no interest. And I see this as REC just trying to conform to the rules that they have to play the game by. And I think it's something we need to move on, city take the responsibility for it.
Yeah, bottom line, Councilman Nelson is certainly correct. REC continues to be a very good partner with us, with the LBIC as well as with the city, and they certainly want to remain such, and as such, this is what they provided to us.
Very much so. Any other questions
Any
for?
future sales then, does the LBIC pay the city's portion rather than the TIF funds? I mean, you said there's 28, you started with 28 acres and that's what's allowed?
No, 72 acres is what we started with. There's 28.46 acres remaining that are platted.
So as they sell, do they go in directly into paying this $306,000?
Just like it did with REC, yes, I'm sure that's what the city would anticipate happening, yes, we would make those payments directly to the city.
All right, okay, I mean, I just,
Lots 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, and 8 of the third edition, and lots 7, 8, 9, and 10 of the second edition are still to be sold. And those proceeds would go to pay this off.
okay.
Answer your question, Clark?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions for Neil? Not an entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve paying off LBIC's loan of $306,675.98 with Northwest REC, subject to a new loan agreement between LBIC and city, and accepting the loan proposal provided to the city from Northwest REC of $300,000 at 0% interest for 6 years.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve paying off LBIC's loan of $306,675.98 with Northwest REC, subject to the new loan agreement between LBIC and city, and accepting the loan proposal provided to the city from Northwest REC of $300,000 at 0% interest for 6 years. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Neil. Okay, moving on to discussion. John?
Nothing.
Clark?
Nothing.
Steve?
Oh, wait, hang on.
Excuse me, that's right.
How are we coming on Central and Plymouth?
Waiting on one more price from a contractor, and we've pushed it back to after Labor Day. I think I said that before. I think the original time was between
Fair,
Fair and Labor Day.
right.
Couldn't get it.
Bids didn't come in fast enough, so it's pushed to after Labor Day.
But we're still planning on diverting
Yeah.
traffic and closing the intersection completely? and
Yes.
it's- okay,
Yep.
But we are doing it this year,
Yep.
That's been
the plan.
expressed to contractors, yes.
Okay.
It will be done this year. Because I told them we don't want to have to come back to the council to tell them it's pushed back a year.
Okay.
It wasn't pointing out an individual, was it? Or individuals on that end of the table?
It's on the agenda, you just got to wait in line.
All right, that's fine.
Okay? Anything else, Clint?
No,
Nothing.
Rex? I'm good. Nothing? Okay, Scott?
Really just a couple of FYIs. The comprehensive plan apologize. The comprehensive planning meeting this evening is at 5:15, and it's about future transportation plans.
So what does that mean?
Transportation, it's intermodal, it's including all of them, so we can have discussions about air, ground, rail, rec trail, pedestrian trails. So I really would like to have a roundtable discussion of all the different types of transportation that we do get involved with. As you all know, we are a Class 3 railroad, so that should certainly be a portion of that as well. And then our CBP is kind of aspiring to do the North Trail to the north, another trail to the south, plus our participation in the Plywood Trail. And all of that is getting received quite nicely by a whole host of people. So I look forward to you coming to the meeting tonight so that we can have a really good discussion on transportation and get that incorporated into our comp plan.
Similar format you would anticipate, Scott?
Very similar, yes. Simco will kind of be the moderator, and it will, we'll try to keep it to an hour and 15 minutes.
Lower level?
Lower level of the Lamar's Convention Center, yes, thank you. Starts at 5:15, it should be over by at least 6:30, if not before.
And I want to emphasize that everybody watching television hear that, because we would really like to see a nice turnout of your opinions towards this transportation project.
The next thing I'd like to FYI is the state fire marshal's going to be here tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock to inspect the transload that the LBIC's been involved with, and your funding has been involved with as far as the loan on that facility. So that's good news, because they cannot operate the facility until we get clearance from the state fire marshal's office. So I want you to realize they're coming in tomorrow, hopefully to give a green light to the operations of that transload. On Thursday, we will have also tomorrow morning at 7:30 will be a housing committee meeting. We've had the first one, this will be the second one for overall, plus we had a subsequent one on a subcommittee dealing with the developers in town. And both of the previous ones went very well, and we hope that we continue to make progress on those committee meetings. Airport advisory meeting is 7:30 on Thursday, and we will have that. We have a couple of things to discuss, and then that will just kind of be at the start of the day. At 11 o'clock on Thursday is an open house for the new terminal. Everyone is invited, including those listening. Food will be served between 11 and 12, and a ribbon cutting right at 12 o'clock.
11 and 1. 11 and 1, the food,
Food between 11 and 1,
and a ribbon cutting at 12.
and a ribbon cutting at 12.
You surfing
Yeah, I'm cooking it too.
So please attend that.
That's gonna cut off a
Boy, that-
people from.
That'll turn them off.
I'm happy to report that, other than a couple of very minor items that your public works staff is gonna take or do, 14th Avenue East is completed, including the backfill now. 12th Street South is completed, with the exception of, again, some very minor ancillary issues. Some of it's backfill, but it's all backfill, but just cleaning up that backfill and doing the seeding. So that's good news. It was slated to be opened up and the barricades taken off by tomorrow. That might be delayed a day because of the recent rain. The landscaping crew couldn't come down today, or didn't come down today. We still kind of linger, and the schedule kind of goes fairly slowly on the water main on Business 75, and we're only about 3 blocks in, so it's been a long haul already, and I'll be meeting directly with Vanderpool, and I might ask a couple of you council people to join me. We really need to get the message to them to step things up. Otherwise, I would predict that we're not going to be done before snow flies, and that's unacceptable.
Was there a completion on that?
It's past tense. Yeah, yes, and it's past tense. So we really need to get their attention that they need to put more manpower, more equipment, and really get going with things on that highway, because it's been very, very, very slow. Dredging is completed. I think I reported that last time. I've been waiting for the dredging outfit out of Minnesota to pull that equipment out, and so that clear up the site so that we can go into kind of a phase 2 on the filling of the south pond. Now that the dredge is out and the only thing left to get out of the site is the crawler excavator, we're going to proceed with phase 2, just so you know. So we'll figure out how we're going to get the material and where we're going to get the material from, but we will be importing material into that site to fill the balance of the south pond. With that, there's a whole number of smaller projects in various phases of construction. We're continuing with those. Things are going fairly well with the rest of the projects, including we finally achieved a new golf course sign.
Yeah, we ought to shake hands on that one,
Is
right?
that gonna have a light, Scott?
Yeah.
it will ultimately have a life. Thank you.
Ultimately, I like that. That's a definite yes, maybe.
Is there,
That's all I have.
I would compliment all the projects on streets. I don't think there's any other town that has done as much patchwork and storm sewers and et cetera around town. And I think people appreciate those projects that get done.
We're up over 40 completed. I think I also mentioned that last time. New ones are getting added all the time, so we're back up to about 20 to 22 active projects on the new list, but 40 did get completed in in calendar year 2016 so far.
good job. Jason?
No.
Anybody else? Not? I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion adjourned.
I will not be at any of those. I'm gonna be in town for 2 weeks. About 15 minutes from now, so I'll be home. I won't be at any of those functions. I won't be at any of those functions.
Oh, you
but
mean
it's
that.
not because I'm not interested.
Okay, real good. Have a good trip.
Safe trip.